Yep. Good evening, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about how do we create a simple React application. So, in our previous class, we learned about creating React application, creating React with application. Yep. So, yesterday we learned how to design a React with application. What is difference between our previous and current approaches? Previous, we used React in existing app, and yesterday we learned a separate React application. What is Vite? What is that Vite? It is a bundling tool. Bundling tools, any another bundling tools are, we have Webpack and Parcel. What is specialty of these bundling tools? Bundling tools are used for scaffolding. Scaffolding is a mechanism where you can just ask what you need, it will design everything for you. So we need to learn how to create a React with application. We done that. I explained the flow, how the React application runs. So we discussed about the basic flow of application, how page starts, how it renders the result, everything we learned step by step. So yesterday I designed this project. I will open it. So this is shopping React is the application this we created. And I explained the complete file system and the flow. In Google Documents, I shared the diagram also, a PDF file yesterday's. Now today, what we are going to learn is how to create components, how to build an app, and how to create interface by using components. Whenever we create any project, by default, one component comes inbuilt. What is that component name? App. Yesterday we saw that one component comes by default, that is app. And application starts with that component automatically. Application is going to start with that automatically. Now today what we are going to learn is how to add components and use them in React. Remember, first when we are learning examples, initially what we will do every day, for every example we will create one component and we can use it. After that, later we will design one navigation. So user will stay on only one page. User can access everything from the page, right? Let's see. Today, what we are going to learn is adding components. Components in a React single page environment. How do we work with components in React single page environment? రూమ్ మారుద్దాం మరి రూమ్ మారుద్దాం ఎక్కడ ఫస్ట్ ఫ్లోరా ఎంతమంది వస్తారు అని ఓకే సో how to add components. In our previous example, what we done is we created components like functions inside the page, but now we need different approach we need to follow. Actually, when you learned JavaScript, you learned JavaScript module system. Learned in JavaScript, you will have a module system. You have to know about JavaScript module system because Angular, React, all these uses JavaScript module system. What is the module system? How the module system works? If you know, then you can implement this. Everyone aware of that? Because our JavaScript people already know you are coming from different background. You have learned JavaScript modules. So because here everything works with a module system, I will do one thing. I will just give a simple overview because that is what we need to implement. But already JavaScript people learn this module systems. I will just give one example because now we have to work with this module system. Actually, what is the concept of module is? So to use this, we need to understand modules. So I will give a point here. So React uses JavaScript module system for components. JavaScript module system for components. So what is the point here is actually modular approach allows to implement application specific library. Allows to implement application specific library. Actually, it enables reusability, extensibility, separation, and testability. All these are enabled using modular approach. Actually, it makes application lightweight and faster. So components are used in a module system environment. I will explain how we do in JavaScript. Generally in your JavaScript, how it is done, I will show. But in JavaScript itself, you have to learn detailedly about it. I will just give an overview for people who don't have an idea on it. So I will show one example for that. See, I will not use this project then. I will use the traditional web app that we designed. This is web application. Now, here we are designing one page. I'm creating some page, a new page, something like sample.html. Okay, this is a HTML page. Okay, now we have just sample page and we have some paragraph. Fine. Now what I'm doing, I'm creating a separate JavaScript file in src folder. I'm using a file, some sample.js. It is a JavaScript file. In this JavaScript file, I'm having a function add and it returns a plus b. Some another function subtract. So and a minus b. I'm just having some functions and multiply and it is returning some a asterisk b. Okay. I want to use these functions in this HTML page. They are present in a separate file. Generally, what we do, we will link the file script. They are present in separate file. So source, what is it? Dot dot slash, it is in src in that sample.js. So you are linking a file, and in that how many functions are there? 3 functions are there. Here I want to use only addition. If you want to use addition, why you linked complete JavaScript file? You are having a JavaScript file with hundreds of functions, but you are using only 1 or 2. Then why you are linking a complete file? Is it reasonable? Right? You are having a JavaScript file with hundreds of functions, but you are using only 1 or 2 functions. Then why you are linking a complete file? It's heavy. That means you are loading 100 functions, but you are using only 2. That wastes memory. So in real world, this is not correct. This is not right way. Linking a file using, but all your JavaScript you will learn like that until or unless you learn OOP concept. So this is not good way in real world applications, because we build heavy libraries, hundreds of functions, and we are going to link everything just to use only 1 or 2. That's not good. Then what is right approach is, we can do in this way. What we will do is, we will use a script, and the script type we need to mention as module system, module. Now what we can do is, in this file, we have 3 functions. We want to use them outside, then we need to mark them as export. We have to mark them as export. If you mark export, then they are accessible outside. Otherwise, they are accessible only inside. When you export, now what you can do is, here you can import. You can import only which function you want. That means I want to use only multiply. Multiply from which library? Dot dot slash src slash, what is it? Sample.js. This is not linking the file. This is just accessing a function from that file and using that function. Now what we will do is document. So we will use document dot query selector. We will access paragraph. In paragraph inner HTML, I am using something like addition, multiplication. This is multiply is equal to, I am accessing multiply function, and I am passing 2 values because it is expecting 2 values. And you can see that when I run this, it should get me that and show multiply is 60. Now I am trying to use another function. Suppose in the next line, I want to use addition. Addition is equal to add into the 10, 40, and it is not available. You see, when I inspect, it will show error. Add is not defined. Why? Because actually add is present in this file, but you are not importing it. So it is using only multiply. Now you need to use add, then you can import add. Now it is using that add and showing. That's good. This is how in reality we use JavaScript in real world projects. We will not link the files. That's not good. Angular, React, everybody uses JavaScript in the same way. That means we will not link the files. We will import and use only what is needed. This is generally JavaScript concept. This is called module system. What is advantage of module system? It makes the application lightweight. Which function is currently in use, only that function it will load. That's good. So this approach is used in your React. Actually, no need to explain for people who already know JavaScript because this is general module system. We have to use it now, so I showed you, right? We have a separate module systems. If you are not aware of that, in the classroom, I will upload a module system notes. You go through it. For our JavaScript people, we teach module systems. I will upload that notes. You go through that. But this is simple basic I explained. So any function you want to use, you have to mark it as export. There are so many things, but one concept I just explained you that. So you see, suppose if this add is not marked as export, if it is not marked as export, you cannot use here. It says that doesn't provide an export name as add. Export name as add. There is another technique. Instead of exporting here, we can export at the end like this. Export default and add. We can export like this. That means you declare and export at the end. But the problem is like this, you can export only one default in entire module. That means default can be only one. Suppose you want subtract also export later, not possible. In every module, only one function can be default. Default means you can declare and later export, or you can declare and export, right? While declaring itself, you can export or later you can export. But when you make default, now you cannot import like this. Default members cannot be imported like this. You have to import outside like this, add, understood? Then you can see that it is working fine. That means there are two ways of declaring. You can directly export or you declare and later export. If you have observed your React application, I will go to your React application that we created. This is our React application. Observe this src app.jsx. It is a function. It is default exporter. Have you observed? So that function is using a default export. You can directly write export or you can make it default. Because from this file only one is exported, so default they use. But in experience level interviews, they will ask which one is best, default or without default. Without default is best, right? Default is not good. Default will use more memory. It is heavy on application. So what is default is it keeps the memory alive even after I finished using it. I don't want like that. So you just destroy the memory, then better. So why they have given export default app, I hope you understood. Yesterday you might not understood that. If you know the module system, you will know. So otherwise it's confusion like what is this export default, why they are doing? Because they are maintaining in a separate file, right? So I will give a basic introduction about module system here, right? I will give a simple point, JavaScript modules, simple point I will give. So every JavaScript file is considered as a module. Every JavaScript file is considered as a module. Module can have variables, variable, function, and class. You can have three things in a module. A module contains functions, variables, and classes. You have to export in order to import and use in any in any external location. You have to export in order to import and use in any another location, in any external location. So syntactically, export function, the function name. You have to write like this. Export constant variable is equal to function. You can write like this. You can export class name. So you can export a class or export a variable or export a function. We can configure export. So you can declare and later export by using default. You can declare and later export by using default. That means you have a function name. Then what we do, export default the name. Every module can have only one default export. Every module can have only one default export. Only one default export you can have. So you have to use import statement to import any member. So import, here we have to use name from module name. We have to import from module name. That name refers to function, class, or a variable. It can be a function name or class name. You have to import only name from module name. When I should do this? When I should do this? If it is default export. Am I right? If it is default export. If it is default export, you have to do this. So that is important here. So another point is, whenever you are importing, you will face ambiguity issues. We can import multiple modules, but multiple modules will have same name functions or members. It can have same name functions or members. That means many modules can have same name members, then issues will come. Then what we do is we use a mechanism of aliasing. By using aliasing, you can implement that, right? So the concept I will just explain because later we have to use. For example, you see we are using this web app. Yeah. Suppose we are having two modules, same name functions are present. Then problem will come, right? Suppose I am adding another file. So this is some math.js. In that export function, add is present. So this is taking three values. right? It is taking 3 values. So, and it is returning 3, A plus B plus C something. Roughly I given, right? So math is having add, sample is also having add. Now, how do we import both of them? Then generally what happens is here we have to import. So again, we have to import which one? Add from where? Dot slash src slash, this is math.js. We have to import from there. Now ambiguity issue will come. That means it will have an issue here. You can see it is, I'm not running this. Yeah. So you can see here. So the issue will be there. Add already declared. It is already declared. That means two names are present in two different modules, but actually same name is present, but they do different work. In that case, how do we import is? Actually, for this, we use a mechanism called aliasing. That means we will import this add as, so this as math library. I'm using as math library. That means now usually what happens, this is from math library. And when it is from math library, as is used for aliasing, then how we have to use, you can see here now, it is working fine. That means it is using first one. If I want to use math library add, then what you have to do, you have to use math library dot what? Add. In that we need to pass 3 values. Na? We need to pass 3 values. That means it is going to handle that. And you see, it is showing the math because already I just given as math lib. That means the function name I given as math lib. That means because it is not a class, it is just a function, only one function. I given this add as what? Better I will give math library add. That is the name. That means here we have to use math library add. Actually, original name is add, but I renamed it. I given an alias name as math library add. Then no problem. If ambiguity issues will come, then you have to handle that by using alias. So one more thing you have to know. You have to alias the functions and classes if multiple modules have same name members. If multiple modules have same name members. Ambiguity, yeah? What is ambiguity, right? How you define that import? Actual as alias from module name. I'm not giving example because these are all JavaScript topics. Just I'm explaining points. Means what is import, what is export, what is aliasing and all, because these are all in JavaScript we use. One more is if a module have hundreds of functions and we want to use all of them, then there is another technique. You can import all members from a module by using wildcard. asterisk by using wildcard asterisk and alias. Right? So by using wildcard and alias. So what is that? Is nothing but we have to import asterisk as library from the module name. From module name. That means all functions are now accessible with which reference? Library. That means how do we access library dot function one? Am I right? Library dot function two. We can access all of them like that. If there are many functions and we want to use all of them, then we have to just use asterisk because we can't write all of them. So these are all the module basics. So how modules are used in JavaScript environment. So all JavaScript based technologies in future, wherever you are learning, they are going to use the same mechanism, right? Module system they use. So now once you are aware of all this, let's use this in our React. So how do we create React components? So I will show you. Let's go to our React project. Yeah. In this React project, first, I want to create my own component. Already by default, there is a component called app. So what is the first rule is, first important rule is make sure that all component files are in src folder. src folder. All component files are in src folder. It is mandatory. If you keep outside, they don't work. Because when a project is created, the mapping is set for dynamic resources are from src, static resources are from public. So if you misplace any file, they don't work. Here you need to be very strong related to the path where which file need to be kept is important. Okay, first make sure that all component files are in src, and another point is every component can have three files. Every component can have three files. One is .jsx. It is the component file. And this JSX component contains markup and logic. Both presentation and logic is present in JSX. .css, it is styles. That means it contains styles for component. Another .test.js or spec.js depends on which testing library we are using. We have two files, test and spec. These are test files. Test files contains unit test. So unit test is testing every function individually. So generally at high level in projects, you will see that every component has three files. In one file, they will maintain the markup and logic. In another file, they maintain CSS related to that component, and another file testing. Currently, You don't need to add testing files. Later we will see. We will see even CSS is not mandatory because you learned in HTML using an external file every time will increase number of requests and also the page load time. So unnecessarily we should not use a CSS file. So 3 files are present. So better always what you do is whenever you create a component, maintain a folder for that component, because several components we will have and every component will have three files. It is very much confusion. So what always you have to do? So always maintain a folder for every component. Remember, we are learning the concept along with the good coding techniques. We are learning the concept with good coding techniques. If you don't follow these type of rules and standards, then applications will face issues like speed. They face issues in handling the load. That's the reason we have to avoid. You know the basic web principles, right? To build a website, how many principles we have to follow? Web development completely depends on 4 principles: accessibility, privacy, security, and internationalization. We have 4 principles of web designing. Every web application should follow 4 principles: accessibility, internationalization, privacy, and security. Without that, a web application cannot be there. For example, you are watching Netflix. When you are watching Netflix, in Netflix, when you try to watch a video, you will find audio subtitle options. In audio subtitle, you will find audio with description. Have you seen? Audio with description. What is it? Have you ever used it? Audio with description? Try that. Audio with description is for the people who cannot see Netflix. That means people with different disabilities also must able to use our website. That is the basic rule of web. That means why Netflix has given audio with the description even you don't use it. They don't care whether you use or not. They will just put that because according to rules they have to keep. According to the rules they have to keep. That's the reason they will keep. Why? Because according to the laws of web, principles of web, every web application should have good accessibility. In spite of different disabilities, a user should able to use your app. That means you see in your mobiles also a separate category will be there, accessibility. Without that, they can't manufacture mobile. You see, there is an accessibility option. Gestures and all they give. That is not convenience. That is rule. They should keep. So web rules are depending on that. You know who maintains the web, right? Web maintained by W3C, World Wide Web Consortium. See the principles. World Wide Web Consortium develops the guidelines for web and they depend on 4 principles: accessibility, internationalization, privacy, and security. You have to follow them. If any website is not following them, then it will be blocked. It will be banned. Right? In other countries, if guidelines are not followed by website, the owner of that website will be in jail. Right? You can watch YouTube. On YouTube, you will find several videos. American Congress and Google CEO, American Congress and Facebook CEO, they are interrogated because they fail in certain points. That's the reason American government interrogated. Why we banned TikTok? Because the guidelines are not properly followed there. Several apps we ban because they don't follow these rules. They don't follow these rules. If they don't follow, it will be banned. Simple. right? That's the reason we have to follow all these rules. So many times people ask like, directly if I add a file, what will happen? Nothing will happen. Later it will create issues. It may work initially, but later it will cause issues. We should not take chance. So we have to follow all the rules. So according to good coding techniques, make sure that every component is in a separate folder. And let's see what we will do now is we will go to SRC. We will go to SRC. You see in SRC already so many files are there. Our startup file is main.jsx. Yesterday I explained the flow. I will add a sub again folder. Why? Because Angular, React, Vue, all these applications, they just not work with components. They have so many things. We have components, we have hooks, we have state, we have different categories. Every category related files must be in separate folders. So in SRC, we will add a new folder called components. Understood? In this, we will maintain a folder for every component. Suppose I want to create one login component. Then what I will do, I will create a folder again in the components. What is it? Login. Suppose I want another component register. Then in components, you maintain another folder. This is for register. For every component, maintain a folder. And all components maintain in a components folder. That is important. In real-time projects, you will see same type of environment. That's the reason better keep that habit. Now, in this login, we will add three files. One file is login.jsx. Another one is login.css. Another one login.test.js. Test.js or spec.js. It is not required initially, but traditionally it will be there. In real world projects, every component will have to undergo unit testing. They have to test and deploy. So then test logics are written in this file, which we will later learn how to write the test logics. Initially, these three files we have to do. So what we are doing, so I am creating this file system, SRC. In SRC, we are creating a folder called login. In login folder, we are creating three files, login.what.jsx, another login.css. Sorry, one more is missing. In SRC, we will maintain what? Components. In components, we will maintain all this. Okay. So login.css and login.test.js. For every component, maintain a separate folder. Okay. Now, how to design the component? So every component is a function. As of now, we will learn function components is a function or class. Am I right? What is recommended functions is a function or class. Every component is a function or class. So which requires export, So how do we write? In login.jsx file, we have to write like this. How do we write? Export function and all the rules of component I explained. That means it should start with uppercase letter, na? Right? And what it should do? It should return a fragment. It should return one fragment. I will just give These rules I already explained. That's how we need to do. So you need to maintain here a separate file. So let's see here. So what we are doing is in this. Okay, let's go to the file login.jsx. In JSX, export function and function name. Function name is login. And it should return some markup. Am I right? Yes. And this is one way. There is another way. This is declaration syntax. There is another way. In some projects, you will see people using different techniques. Another technique is you can write like this also. Constant login is equal to, it is a function. It is a function and it will return the markup. And what we have to do, export default, what is it? Login. We can write like this also. More simplified is nothing but constant login is equal to a function which returns a markup. Understood? This is also fine. You learned arrow methods now, right? So this is an arrow technique, more shorthand way. Actually, when we go to production, then code will be like this. That means in production, minified code is used. We will not use the original lengthy code. It will minify, but development wise, better use the lengthy, not minified. Why? Because we need to track down the errors, issues, where which line have problem. If you write minified, it will say that all problems are in one line. Then it is difficult. So we need to crack it. So there are so many ways of writing. You can use any technique. So this is one technique, or you can use another technique. What is it? Constant login is equal to a function, and this function must return some markup. And after that, you need to configure export default login. You can write like this. So you can use in a more shorthand way. Constant login. We can return actually div, because that return itself is implies itself indicates return, you know na. So export default login. This implies itself uses return. This indicates return. So there are different ways of writing we can use anyway. Now here we will learn more techniques under this. We will understand. First, we will create any simple presentation we will create. So I will just use the traditional export login, export function. What is it? Login. And it will return a simple div. Okay. And I will give as user login. And you know how to design. We have a form. We have a data list, data term, some username. Roughly, I will just use a syntax. And you know that all elements needs end, right? So we need to end. This is username. And let's take password. Okay, input type as password. Yeah, and we have a button, just button as login. Fine, we just created some presentation. Now styles are still not there. We just added design one component. I want to start with this component. Generally, application starts with which one? Application starts with app main.jsx. In that, which component is there? App. We have to replace it. So what you do? Go to app main.jsx. Here it is starting with app. Na? So remove it. Remember, you do delete this index.css also. Index.css and app.jsx, we will delete them. And here we are going to use only one. We have to use import first. Which one to import? Which component? It is a function login from components, in components login, in login, login. That is JSX file. That is the module name. Okay. Now instead of app, we need to put, instead of app, we need to keep login. Right. So now let's start the application. How to start? Yesterday we learned. We have to use the command in terminal npm run dev. It will start and it launches the local host. You login is ready. It will get the login and it will show. Same thing we done earlier also, but everything we designed in one file. But now we are separating. And make sure that you remove that. So after creating this login, okay. Next point, import your component into main.jsx and set up in set as startup component. Set as startup component. So you have to import. So login from login. So dot slash component slash login like this. And we have a render method. In that we have a strict mode. Na? Inside strict mode, use login. In the strict mode, use that login. A simple note is remove app.jsx and index.css from main, because they will confuse you with their styles. By default, some styles are present. They will confuse. That's the reason you remove these two files, app.jsx and index.css from the main. We need to do that. Right. Now start your application. So application starts with npm run dev. So this is our first time. So I'm giving all the process. Every day we don't need all this to know, right? Now, how do we add styling to these components? How do we add the styles? We can write styles. We can write in a separate CSS file. So CSS files also we have to import. CSS files also we need to import. So see what I'm doing here is, let's go. We will add some styling to this. So then what I will do here, we will go to the login JSX. This is the design we are having. Because it is a form, better I will keep this heading also inside the form. I will keep everything in one container div. Am I right? Yeah. So what I will do for this div, I want some styles to apply. Then go to CSS and add some styles. Here, very careful. Never use type selectors here. Generally in CSS, you learn different types of selectors. Type selector, ID selector, class selectors. Never use type selectors here. Because it is a single page application. If you use a type selector is nothing but like form. Don't write like this. Always use IDs. Always use class names. Don't use this. Why? Because your application is a single page application means all components will render in one file only. What is that file? Index.html. So in one component for one heading, you given some effect, it will affect everyone. It will affect all components. That's the reason if you want any element in all components in a same way, then you use type. In different components, element looks different, then better always use an class. Never use type selectors. This will create lot of problems in future. Many times everybody who is learning React comes with this doubt regularly. They say that, sir, in my this CSS file, I haven't given any style, but it is automatically working. That is working because some another component is using the selectors. So always use class selectors. So I will use f login form. Okay, that is the class name. And what I will do, display as flex, justify content center, align items center. So I will give height as 100 VH. I'm just using this. So we put height. Okay. Now this we need to apply. We need to apply to the main div. We will apply a class name. What is the class name? Login form. But it is not going to work because that CSS is not imported. We have to import CSS. Here, no link tags and all. Here we have to use import statement. CSS is also imported through import statement. Import dot slash because it is in same file. Login dot CSS. Then once you import, you can see it is working fine. We want to add effects. Go to login and here we have to do. So suppose we are having some form style. Okay. And this form style will have some border. I will give some 1 pixel solid. So and gray. Padding is 20 pixel. Okay. Some box shadow I am using as 2 pixel, 2 pixel, 2 pixel, and black something I am giving here. Border radius is some 10 pixel. You can see this form style I want to apply to the form. Class, what is it? Form style. And you can see it is having the form style. We are just adding the styles. So how do we add the styles from a file? That point is also important. So next point is you can configure styles in a separate style sheet. That is login.css. But here some rules. Make sure that you are not using type selector. So always use class and ID selectors. So after that, you have to import CSS file into JSX component. That means in login.jsx, if you want to use the CSS file, what you have to do, import ./login.css. That's what we have to do. And we already learned classes are applied by using class name property. They are applied by using class name property. So we need to apply by using the class name property. Right. So we are using this. Okay, now it's okay. Our own styles are working. Ignore that test file. So don't even add it. Later we will learn about to add test files. You can maintain these two. So, and these are the basic. Now we want more fast, simple designs, attractive, then we can use Bootstrap. So what is advantage? You install Bootstrap and link in main file, it will work everywhere. You don't need to link in every page. Means in every component, you don't need to do that. So let's see how to enable Bootstrap also. Because Bootstrap, we have to use daily regularly for our examples. We will learn three: Bootstrap, React Bootstrap, and MUI. We will learn all these three. And if time permits, we will see Tailwind also how to integrate. But Tailwind, you have to separately know about it. Because these days companies are using different libraries. Famous UI libraries for designing good websites: Bootstrap, Tailwind CSS, MUI. For React MUI, right? So how do we enable Bootstrap? We will see. So I will copy this example, but still it is not completed. We have to enable Bootstrap, right? So enable Bootstrap for project. Enable Bootstrap for project. How do we do? npm install Bootstrap icons and save. You have to install Bootstrap and Bootstrap icons. After that, you have to import Bootstrap into main.jsx. We have to import into main.jsx. So let's see how. Remember, your project is already running in one terminal. You can see in this terminal, you can observe in this terminal, your project is already running. You can't stop it. If you stop, it will stop. You cannot refresh and see changes. Again, you have to run. So keep this in this terminal. Select another terminal. Click the plus, new terminal will come. In this new terminal, that means actually we are having two terminals here. In the new terminal, you install npm install. I is shortcut for install Bootstrap icons and save. I am downloading and installing Bootstrap also ready. So in one terminal, your project is running. In another terminal, you can run your commands, right? Okay, now close. Let's go to main.jsx file. Here we need to import the bootstrap files. And how do we import? Bootstrap requires two CSS files I showed you. We have to import. You see it is in dot dot slash. There is a folder where node modules. In that you will find bootstrap. In that dist CSS bootstrap.css. That is one file. Semicolon is optional, not required. You can use import node modules. Another one is bootstrap icons. In that font icons.css. These two files we can import. Now bootstrap is ready. Bootstrap CSS is ready. And you can see that. So bootstrap is already working here. Some font style changes are there. You can apply more. Let's go to login. Here I will use class name BI person circle. And you can see it is going to get that icon. For text boxes, I'm using class name. So we have form control and we are using class name form control. And for button, we are using button BTN warning W100. And it is going to set all those styles. Now we are applying bootstrap also to the components. Bootstrap only the styles are being used. We can use effects also. We can use functionality. But in real time, majority bootstrap functionalities we don't recommend because bootstrap again uses a library called jQuery. You are already using a library. So better use a library which is good for React. jQuery is good for React, but it becomes heavy. But in many applications, they use the library. So what is the functionality related library? You have to import the functionality related library dot slash. So it is from node modules. This is bootstrap. We have dist. In that JS, we have bootstrap bundle. We have to import this bootstrap bundle. Actually, bundle will give functionality. That means we have to import bootstrap bundle. But that's not recommended. Later we will do that because we will see alternatives because this makes application heavy. I'm not going to use this bundle every day. Only for CSS, we will use bootstrap. For interactions, we will create manually. Everything we will design manually. What is this bundle? Bootstrap bundle contains lot of components like I showed you now. So what are the components here? Remember, every time whenever you are doing modifications, make sure that you are saving the files. Because sometimes what happens is you see this symbol indicates, dot symbol indicates it's not saved. Fortunately, in your general web applications, you run, it will automatically save and run. Here it will not. So you need to make sure that you are saving the changes. Otherwise, it will not reflect, right? So, control S every time. Huh? Now, actually, we can apply some classes like what is it? Alert, dismissible. So we have like alert, danger, a warning like this. You can see it will apply some styling. We can add some button and this button is BTN close. And actually it uses data BS dismiss. Dismiss is alert. It should dismiss that alert. But this will not work because that means design, it is not working here. This is the dismissible spelling wrong. Alert dismissible. Alert dismissible. Okay, it is fine. Now Initially, this is okay, but this is not recommended. That means when I click the close, it is going to close, right? It is not recommended. Why? Because this is using jQuery, but in some projects, they still use it because jQuery Ajax, jQuery related certain functions and libraries they use in React. So just I given one option. So we have to link 3 files now in main. What are those? Import node modules in that bootstrap, dist css, strap.css. That is one file. Wrap icon, wrap icons dot pl. So wrap dist js bootstrap bundle. You have to just include the bundle. It is a script file actually, just bootstrap bundle is enough. For script files, no need to mention .js. For CSS, mandatory to mention CSS. For script files, because they use a module system, you don't need to do that. So bootstrap allows you to handle. And remember later, see, don't watch YouTube and follow, because either you follow only YouTube or follow my notes, right? Don't mix them. Your brain will cook like anything because everybody's approach is different. Majority of YouTube channels explain according to their environment. That means a developer on YouTube channel will explain about React and environment according to his project, right? But in learning process, they are not enough. Do you know software companies have very senior software developers now? Project leads, managers, highly qualified 20, 25 years experience people. Do you know they hire software trainers to train their newcomers? You know that? That means MNCs hire the software trainers to train their newcomers, induction programs, their developers also. Why a senior developer can explain why they need a separate trainer? Why they need a software trainer? Their senior developers are there, 20 years experience. They know the technology very well. They can teach, na? No, they can't teach. They can't teach. They can just work. That means a successful developer is not a successful trainer at all. Cannot be, because training is different from what working. Because at working environment, he works with only what is required for that situation. But a trainer should explain all scenarios. And even developer have 20 years experience in development, he might not worked with all scenarios. That's the reason they need trainers who can train on all scenarios. So even a high level MNC like Wipro, Infosys, TCS, these people hire software trainers and they give induction program, React JS, Angular. I told you, 2 days React finish in MNCs. They will teach only 2, 3 days React finish. You have to rest of things you have to explore and learn, right? The point is, if you follow that, you will find little different difficulties because that will not suit every environment. So in YouTube channels, usually what they do, they will show a different approach. Like what? They will not remove app.js. They will keep app.jsx. Whatever components they design, they will all put in that app.jsx. We can do like that in later stage. Initially, what you do every day when you design a component, so keep that component in the startup. That's what you need to learn, right? I hope you understood. Now I will give two files. Example two files I will give. What are those two files? This is for your notes. One is login.css file, which contains all the styles now. I will copy this one. And one more file is there, login.what? JSX. I will copy this file. And temporarily for your guidance sake, main.jsx also I will give. But after few days, once we set up the complete normal environment and start working, I will share a Git link. In that Git link, we will connect this project. Every day, whatever I am updating, it will be updated to you also, right? You will get a Git link for that. Initially, you have to try all this. This is enough for today. First, you have to try up to this. If you are good, then tomorrow we are going to learn very important data binding. Data binding means how to get the data, how to present the data, how to interact with the data in React application. That we'll see tomorrow. Okay, right.